So regime change is obviously the main goal here, right? Trump he has doubled the bounty on information leading to the toppling and arrest of Maduro, up to $50 million. He's sanctioned Colombian President Gustavo Petro for speaking out against the United States extrajudicial killing of Colombian citizens. And Lindsey Graham has been talking about potential military operations against Venezuela and Colombia, who both have, quote, blood on their hands for U.S.
and
drug
Colombia.
Uh-huh.
Oh, interesting. You know what? That's not enough. Why not also Peru? That way the military, and also Panama. That way it could be against all of Gran Colombia. That way,
yeah.
Basically, we can go to war with all of Bolivar's legacy.
Right, that's a good idea. Obviously, the United States has overwhelming military superiority, but an invasion would present some problems. Venezuela has 28 million people, battle-hardened security forces, and the Venezuelan armed forces have resisted major defections and coup attempts and have continued to stay cutting edge, even though they're under sanctions pressure. When I say cutting edge, I mean as far as Latin American militaries are concerned.
Right. Right. And they also have the added military sophistication of being, even under the Maduro government, which is a pale reflection, a pale echo of the Chavez government. They have they still have a deep ideological rooting. The Patria para Todos, Patria, what is it? Patria, Socialismo
Patria.
Or Muerte, like it's fatherland, socialism, or death, and even the people, even under Maduro, there's at least the nationalism part. Like that's still, okay, obviously I think that my boss sucks and is corrupt and whatever, but it doesn't mean I want my neighbors to get killed.
Yeah, I mean, and also even Venezuelan nationalists who are right wing don't want the United States controlling their government. Not all of them, obviously, like Machado, but anyway, also Maduro just activated the militias, which is like 4 million strong, and has been handing out weapons like crazy to the citizen militias.
Yeah, I've read that. I think the militias, they're 4.5 million, and that's before they started trying to train more. So the idea is like, yeah, the United States can invade us and they will defeat us in the first round, but it will, make another Vietnam. And Trump is like, yeah, let's do a couple of those. Let's do 2, 3, many Vietnams.
Okay, so that's the situation in Venezuela. Hopefully we will not have a full-scale war or even limited war, whatever, by the time we come back next week to talk about what else has happened. Let's pivot to Asia. The protection racket that Donald Trump has been running under the cover of tariffs has claimed South Korea as its most recent victim. So Trump has targeted South Korea and Japan recently. He has been pressuring Korean companies to pay trillions of he's pressured and won trillions of dollars through tariffs and investments up to the $350 billion to the United States. And he insists that the Koreans buy more American weapons and more American liquefied natural gas, even though U.S. LNG is costlier than Middle Eastern. Similarly, Japan is expected to invest $550 billion, which the U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said would blow up their balance sheet, quote. And this is being discussed in Korea as gangster tactics because the refusal could bring economic punishment, such as higher tariffs and other diplomatic pressures. So the U.S. demands that its allies accept new tariffs, make massive investments in the U.S., purchase American energy and arms, and the result is an exploitative zero-sum arrangement which is aptly described as a protection racket. So allies of the United States have to pay to avoid punishment rather than, what they had previously done was receive American protection in exchange for American markets to be able to work in there, which is massively, massively beneficial to the United States. They receive
of course.
protection from non-existent threats, and the United States gets to control their markets. Donald Trump talks about it like, that these countries have been living off the teat of the United States instead of being exploited in a neo-colonial manner. But yeah, I mean, that's that basically. Trump's, if you look at the way that Trump has been behaving when it comes to tariffs, it has absolutely nothing to do with bringing jobs back to the United States, with building up domestic production and protecting farmers and whatever else in the United States. It's all about trying to get W's over our allies, which is, last week I talked about Trump's dipshit diplomacy. This is more of Trump's dipshit diplomacy. I mean, if you are Xi Jinping, how hilarious do you think it is that the United States is allying its two biggest partners in the region, the Japanese and the South Koreans? You love to see that if you're Xi Jinping.
Oh yeah, or if you're anybody, if you're Vladimir Putin, if you're who is
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, if you're anybody, that Donald Trump is a really good thing. You're really happy about it. And I don't mean in the way that in the way that people like Rachel Maddow might think. I mean, accidentally. It's funny because it's accidentally working out to the benefit of, let's call them our adversaries.
Yeah. Speaking of Xi Jinping and China, I don't know if you saw this, but Xi Jinping totally dog-walked Donald Trump at the latest U.S.-China trade deal in Korea. So we've been involved in a low-scale trade war with Beijing for months at this point. Xi used China's control over rare earth minerals and obvious massively dominant purchasing power, which it exerts over the United States by buying soybeans from the United States, as well as other things, but mostly soybeans, to bring the United States to heel. The U.S. has conceded a reduction of existing tariffs and an extended truce on new ones for 1 year, the suspension of port fees on Chinese ships, and the delay of new U.S. export controls that would have blocked Chinese access to American tech. So the only thing that the Chinese conceded is that they would resume buying American soybeans. Basically,
Hell
Trump's
yeah.
entire trade regime is just completely collapsed. His entire tariff regime is completely collapsed. So Xi's strategy here is to let Trump declare victory while just restoring the previous status quo. Xi's tone during the talks is reported to have been calm and authoritative, and emphasizing, quote, long-term cooperation and warning against mutual retaliation. Xi projected stability and strength, while Trump was sheepish and goofy. I don't know if you saw any of it, but he's like cracking jokes and acting awkward the entire time. You understand why Gavin Newsom was just like completely humiliated by Trump's behavior, because he definitely looked like he was being owned by Xi, and that's the worst thing in the world for a piece of shit warhawk like Gavin Newsom.
What, to have the American president be owned by the Chinese president?
Yeah. Trump celebrated publicly on Truth Social, posting that this is a great victory and our farmers will be very happy. He basically ignored everything except for the fact that trade in soybeans would be renewed. This basically mirrors Trump's pattern: tactical wins, no strategic plan.
I
China
mean,
has
even calling that a tactical win seems a little bit that's being very generous because to make a mess, like if you drop a glass on the ground and you sweep up the broken glass, you still have one fewer glass. So like you're restoring a trade balance or restoring a trade relationship which you've disrupted, and that has all these reverberating effects. So I don't think this is even tactical, and it's just a smaller loss. It's just not as much of a defeat.
right. It is complete a complete loss. Xi walked away stronger, having illustrated to the world that China is at least an equal player, if not more, a more powerful player than than is the United States. Here, it's China said, "Well, fine, we can weather the storm if you want to do this." Like
Yeah,
China has been buying up oil and buying up gold and getting ready for a massive trade war that they think will eventually happen. So when it does happen, they will be at least able to stabilize their economy. Plus, they've been diversifying their supply chains and extending trade with Russia and other BRICS countries. And yeah, I mean, China is going to be fine. They can manipulate their economy in a way that they will weather any storm that comes from fallout with the United States.
yeah. China's economy is much more of a command economy than Russia's, and Russia is
Oh,
doing okay
absolutely.
under
I mean,
the they're like Russia's the most sanctioned country on earth now,
they're doing
or
fine.
whatever. They're heavily sanctioned anyways, and they're doing okay. And China has the capacity to this is the plan. They could just say, "Hey, here's the plan. This is what we're going to do," and no one's going to. Everyone's going to fall in line.
Well, speaking of doing fine, I was looking for a segue. Japan is going to. Here we go. Speaking of Russia doing fine, there we go. Japan is renewing its imports of Russian liquefied natural gas from the Sakhalin 2 project, and they have justified this move as essential for maintaining energy security and economic stability. The previous policy was following the G7 into cutting reliance on Russian energy, reducing their imports to about 3% of what they had previously been. The new plan reverses that trajectory and resumes buying at the previous levels. They've justified it by saying that they need a stable nearby supply. Otherwise, they're going to have power shortages, and global LNG prices are too high. They can't afford to buy them from the United States. And basically, they're risking diplomatic repercussions from the United States and the G7 allies. And they don't really care because it's basically like a last ditch effort to stabilize their economy by renewing the previous energy security that they had before the Ukraine war.